Okay, all right. So here's what we're gonna do today. We're going to talk about finding the domain and range. All right, as you can see, we're continuing that topic from a table and then a graph. Okay, so that's what we're gonna do today, and super easy. Okay, all right, let's go. Okay, all right. So in this lesson, we're gonna talk about domain and range again. Now, the last time we talked about it, we actually talked about two things actually, right? We evaluated domain, right? So we substituted in other words, and then yesterday we looked at some word problem types to see what is an appropriate domain, right, for a word problem. Okay, real life word problem, right? So today we're gonna talk about something a little bit deeper. All right, we're gonna talk about how to find domain and range from a table and graph. Now, I don't know if you noticed, in the past 2 days, the work that we've been done has been very domain heavy actually. Like there are very few questions on range, like if at all, right? So today is there's a bit of a shift in focus, okay, where we're gonna look at some more range actually. Now, this first one, how to get domain and range from a table, is unbelievably easy. All right, we can do one example and that will be it. So look, right here it says a function is shown in the table below, nothing crazy, right? X and f of x, or x and y, or input, output, or domain and range, right? So what's the domain? I think you guys all know it already. What's the domain? Yeah, all the x values. That's it. You just list them out. That's it. That's the domain, right? I'm not doing anything crazy here, right? Notice we use set notation here, right? And then what's the range? That's it. These four numbers: 2, -4, -2, 16, and that's it, right? Now let me ask you one more question. Is this a function? Well, it says it's a function. It's a function, right? Because the x values don't repeat, right? So every element in the range is mapped to a single element in the domain, right? As the language goes. That's it. All right, that's the lesson on this. Now, in class, I'm going to show you two YouTube videos. One is 1 minute long, and the other one is absolutely hilarious. So that's why I wanted to show it to you in class and see what your reaction is. All right. So next one, how do we determine the range and domain from graphs? Okay, this one slightly trickier, so let's spend a little bit of time on it. Now, let me see what's a good color to pick. Yeah, green's good. Okay, so what is this all about, right? Okay, looking at this one. So by looking at the graph, now you guys all know already, right, that in a graph we have two lines, right? The horizontal one is called the x-axis, right? So remember, right, x is the domain, right? And then we have the y-axis, right, where y is the output or the range, right? Nothing crazy here. Now, so for this one, right, when we look at the domain, the question is, what can x possibly be for you to have a graph like this? Okay, all right. So do you understand the question, right? If you're going on the x-axis, what are the possible values of x? Right now, think about it. The line, where does the line start? Here, right? The line starts here. Now, where's the x value in this? All right. Now, that's not -2. I know what some of you might be thinking, if you can see this even, right? You see a -2 here. That's no. That's not the x value. That -2 belongs to the y value, right? It's vertical, right? So where is x? So in other words, let me ask you this. What's the point here? What's the coordinate? Yeah, 0, -2, right? Notice that? Now, you also notice, right, the line doesn't just keep going this way, right? It's not going this way, right? So you know that the line starts where x is 0. Let me say that again, right? You know that this blue line that is drawn here starts where the x value is 0. So you know that the domain, right? Actually, this is the actual notation, actually. Is x such that, all right? We don't use that much in class, but, you know, I mean, you guys can pick this up, like, right now, right? It's such that now, think about it. What other values of x are there? So let's go to the right, okay? We're gonna go on and slide on to the right. Okay, looks like x could be 1, right? 0, 1, let's keep going. Looks like it could be 2, looks like it can be 3, 4, and so on and so forth. So what do you think the notation would be, right? It's what? Yeah, it's anything that is greater than or equal to. Now I'm using equal to because the circle is filled here, okay? And it includes the answer, than 0. Okay, one more time, right? The x value here, right? Because this is 0, 2, or 0, negative 2, right? So you see how this is 0 here, right? That's the x value. So I know that my domain, right, starts at 0, keeps going. It just keeps going to the right. It doesn't go to the left. That's why it starts at 0. The arrow goes to the right, right? My inequality symbol, so on and so forth. Okay, now, do you guys remember how to write this in interval notation? How would you write that? All right, how would you write that? Interval notation with brackets and parentheses. How would you write that? Right, right? You go to 0, and then you go to positive infinity, right? 0 is inclusive, bracket, and infinity is always what? Yeah, parentheses. Okay, got that? All right. Now, the next one, the range, right? So what can the range be? So meaning like this, you're going up, down, right? So what's as down as it gets for the y? Because it doesn't go any further down, right? It doesn't go downward any further, this line. So let me use a different color. Let me use red, it's fine. All right, so if you look at the range, right? The y value, right? How low is the y value get? Yeah, negative 2, and then watch, right? It keeps going up. It just keeps going up, right? So the y value, look, here, it's over here, right? Here, it's negative 1. Here, where is x is 5, is 0, and then just keeps going, right? So where does it start? It starts at negative 2. It's anything that's greater than or equal to negative 2. Okay, now how would you write that in interval notation? Yep, okay, so you would start at negative 2. It goes to infinity, bracket around the 2, parentheses around the infinity symbol. Okay, let me see how we're doing on time. Maybe I could split this up. We should probably do some of these exercises in class, actually. So let me go look up some worksheets. Now, look again, right? Now, this line, that is it. There's no arrows here. Okay, so what is the domain here? Well, let's try again. What's the domain here? All right, so in other words, what are all the x values? Well, we're just going to scan across, right? Because this point here is 0, 8, right? And it just keeps going 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it stops, right? So the point that it stops. By the way, if it helps you on a quiz or on the regions to write these points down, go for it, because if it helps you visualize, all right? So this is 4, 0, right? And again, these are the x values, right? 0 to 4. So, looks like, right, the domain is between 0 and 4. That's it. And we're like closed off there. So it's between 0 and 4, and it's inclusive, and that's it, right? Again, this is just a bar, by the way. Don't get confused. This is not a 1. This is just the domain is such that x, right, such that it's greater than 0, greater than equal to 0, or less than or equal to 4. That's it. Now, let's look at the range then. By the way, you can write this. All right, let's write that in interval notation. What is that? So it's bracket 0, 4, bracket. Okay, all right. Let's switch back. So here with y such that, now what about the y? This is 0, 8. So it ended up, so the y, it's as high as 8, and the y here is as low as 0. So it's between 0 and 8. Okay, so 0 and 8. All right, and That's it. Okay, and that's how you do it. Now, I got a trick for you because they're not always look like this. Sometimes they're like very curvy lines, as you can see down here. So I thought of an easier way to do this. Okay, now this is technically an example, but let me show you how to do this, and then we can actually go backwards and do this. So this is what I call, right, when you watch baseball, right, if a base runner is caught between first base and second base, or second base or third base, or even like third base and home plate, right, there's a word for it, right? It's called they're putting on the squeeze, right? So here what we're gonna do is I'm gonna use a baseball analogy. We're gonna put on the squeeze, okay? Now what color? Let's use green and red, okay? So we're gonna put the squeeze onto the graph, and by squeezing it, you can see the domain and range a little bit clearer. So let's use this, all right? So let's start with domain. So let me write this down first. So for this one, for the domain, right, the value of x is such that, and then I'm just gonna like do that, and I'm gonna do the same thing for y. I'm just gonna set everything up. The range is such that, okay, all right, now let's see. So let's see, now, here's the squeeze. I'm gonna put 2 green lines here. And I'm gonna squeeze these 2 green lines like this. Oops, wrong thing. You know what, let me set this in place. Then it won't move. All right. So I'm gonna start off there from afar, and I'm gonna move them at the same time. I'm gonna squeeze in. Now, once you can touch the line, all right, you gotta stop. Same thing here. Right? So look, this is our defined domain, right? So look, let's see, how should I write this? Okay, all right, so look, here domain, right? Now, look at the domain, right? These are all the x values. So I'm putting a squeeze on the horizontal or x-axis. Because by doing that, now I can really focus on like where x started and where it ended. Now look at this, you see this open circle here? Right? Now, what point is that? Let me write that down. That's -3, 0, right? And where is this point? Right here. That is 1, -4. So looks like, right, if you focus on the x values, it looks like it's between -3 and 1, right? That's it. Now, that's an open circle, so no line underneath the inequality sign, and then we have to include the 1, right, because that's a closed circle, and that's it. Now what's the interval notation? Parentheses, -3, 1, bracket, right? Okay, now let's try the next one. So here I'm gonna take the 2 green lines away and use it later. Let me get the lights. So here, I'm gonna get 2 red lines. Where are they? Now I gotta change the, let me use pink, okay? I don't wanna change the color, it takes more time. Okay, so I'm gonna draw 2, right, reddish lines, and I'm gonna erase what I wrote before. Okay, and now I'm gonna put the squeeze on the graph again. Right? So now I'm top-down approach, right? Because I'm going on the y values, right? Y equals 2, y equals 1. See that, right? So I'm going to put the squeeze down like this. Now, it touches a line, so I got to stop, right? And I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to put the squeeze up top, right? Like that. See that? So now I got to stop. So now let's analyze this then, right? Now, what point was this? So this was -3, 0. Now, is there anything higher than that? No, right? Because this point here, that's 0, 0. Right? So it's still good, right? We're not doing anything wrong here. So, and then we go over here. So this point here, what is that? 1, -4. Yeah. right? Now we're analyzing the y value, okay? So one of the things I've realized as I'm teaching this is that if you write down the furthest coordinates, right, when you were either looking at the x values, right, with the green lines, or the horizontal values with the pink slash red lines, it's a little bit more methodical, and I think you guys might appreciate that method a little bit more. So now, look at this. That's 0, and that's -4. So in other words, the range is between -4 and 0. So let's write that down. Now, that's a closed one, so -4, right, with a line underneath. And then it's less than 0. Okay, because you got to put this in order, right? You can't just put like 0, -4 like that. What is it? -4, 0, and what is the, so that's a bracket, that's a parentheses, okay? And that's how you would do questions like this. Now, you know what? I got to stop. So let's continue this tomorrow, okay? And, because this is 15 already. Okay, all right. So let's continue tomorrow. If you want to get really, make sure whether you learned this or not, you can rewind and watch, but otherwise, we're just gonna do this again, all right, with more examples tomorrow. Okay, all right, thanks for watching. Have a good day. Bye-bye. OMG, that was so good.